this. For reals, how far will Classic go? By Willie.
So BlizzCon's happened, and as many of us expected, turns out that Classic WoW will be going beyond Wrath of the Lich King.
I thought after Wrath it would stop,
The first three
but they're just going
expansions
on.
in Vanilla, TBC, and Wrath were kind of a given that they would rerun their course, and whether that was for nostalgia's sake at first, revisiting raiding you missed back in the day, seeing how the classes were back then, whatever it was, they've all had their merits, and at times showed why certain things ended up changing too. Blizzard have also seen this moment coming for a while now, as have many of us. Cataclysm is a big changing point for Classic, and for those wanting to continue reliving more Classic experiences, there is Era, Hardcore, and most recently, Season of Discovery. The choices have never been larger for somebody to find a version of Classic WoW they like, and I think this push for vanilla content over the last 6 or so months has not been any
Put your faith in the light, brother.
But Wrath
Put your
is
faith in the light,
up, and the future of the
months.
Classic expansions are only heading forwards. So how far do you think they're going to go? Like, realistically though. I mean, even back in 2019, people...
Chad, how far do you think they will go? Do you think they're gonna go all the way and just be like a private server which has like every single version of it? Because recently I heard there's Shadowland private server chat. There's actually people that play. It's surprising. There's more than we thought, man. There's more than we thought. Skip WoD, go to Legion. I think people really want to see Mob. I think it will go up to Mob for sure.
Savix.
But do they continue after that is the question. You know, think of the 32-month Mr. Silver. They will do Legion, I will play. Legion was definitely a lot of fun, man. Do I want to replay though? I'd rather play like new expansion or the new seasons. Season of Discovery, no? We've already played it. I don't know if I want to repeat it again. Even though it was really good.
We're already joking that I can't wait for BFA Classic, or then Shadowlands Classic, or now Dragonflight Classic. Personally, I'm looking forward to the World Soul Saga Classic, but memes aside, Classic is catching up with retail, there is no doubt about that. Whereas Vanilla to Kata originally took about 6 years between 2004 and 10, Classic has covered that same ground in 4 and probably a half years from 2019 to 2024, depending when Kata actually comes out, that is. The difference maker has been, nearly without exception, the duration of the final content phase of each expansion. From Wrath and beyond, final patches often went on for 9 to 12 months, sometimes over 1 year, looking at Mr. Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor there. And whilst final raid tiers are the culmination of the expansion with all the overpowered gear and us fighting the big end boss, given the choice, these days the Blizz devs aren't going to have us sitting on one patch for an entire year, or for anywhere near that long, ever. Unless it's Classic Era, I guess, but that's its own separate thing. I mean, take Ulduar, for example. It was one of the most hyped up and beloved raid tiers ever for Classic. And for many of us, it ended up feeling as though it went on for too long, and that came out on January 19th, and Trial of the Grand Crusader was June 22nd. And that 6-month time period does feel about as long as any major content patch can really go on for. And I think a big part of the content being faster paced is just that, on average, people get through stuff much faster.
Yeah, a lot
faster. It's a side effect of it being a re-release. You know what's coming, what to prepare, what the hard fights will be, which classes are gonna go well, all of that stuff. Back in the day, they had class balancing, a lot more fixes or updates to broken content, and so on. People would have been playing a lot more, and re-rolling a lot more too. The phrase flavor of the month re-roll really came into prominence during Wrath, and for a good reason. Also, I think a ton more people PvP back in the day as well.
Did you guys re-roll back in the day? I never re-rolled. Even if my class sucked, I just stay as that, because it's been my main for so long. Like Classic, TBC up till Wrath. Yeah, I never re-rolled. I always stayed as that poo-poo class. If it got nerfed, if it was good, I would be super happy about it. But nowadays, I feel like I would re-roll now. I'm like old and I don't play a shit class, you know what I mean? Love you, I love you too, man. Nah, because leveling was so long. Yes, I'm an alcoholic. Every EXP I had different main. Fair enough, man. I did have one main and one and one. Okay, nice, man. No, I never read the patch. I was too young. Same, dude. I would only find out about nerf from like friends. I never knew how to like read stuff on Wowhead or the Blue Post from Blizzard. I don't know if Blue Post, there was a lot of them too. MMO Champion was one of the popular websites too, I think back then. I don't know if it still is now.
Which is inherently a very replayable thing to do and doesn't require this constant stream of new content the same way that PvE does. But anyway, we are, without a doubt, catching up. So how far does this journey go? Because we can never fully catch up, can we? Diversive as Cataclysm is compared to the original trio, it's still World of Warcraft. This is probably one of the most consistent gaming franchises of all time. People have been saying WoW's dead or the next WoW killer is around the corner for years,
WoW
and
won't
it just
die,
keeps
man.
on going. After all,
It's a
what do you think would
cockroach.
keep more people playing? Moving on to the next expansion, transferring characters across and carrying on with whatever expansion that may be, or Blizzard to come out and say, so yeah, go play one of the classic versions of the game, or I don't know, raid ICC
This zone was
forever, I
pretty
guess.
cool.
The people who prefer vanilla already have choices, and as popular as Wrath of the Lich King raiding is, I don't think that many people are going to be sticking around forever in ICC. So will the Dragonflight classic memes be true one day? In a few years' time, will there be posts and videos saying, you know what, Warlords of Draenor really wasn't that bad? Maybe there will, you know. And I'm going to go ahead and say something which I think makes sense, but I'm still not quite sure I fully believe it yet. And that is, I can see Classic going as far as Legion. As each expansion up to that point has
dude, when I
enough
saw
merit
that
to
Ashfinger, I was screaming.
enough
Good morning,
players
boys.
would want to re-see the content, and it would be worthwhile for Blizzard to do. But let's go into it in a bit more detail.
Legion was
for each
good.
expansion,
I enjoyed.
though. Why
Except for
will
the
they
end
be
season.
worthwhile? And that means starting with Cataclysm. First up, it's going to be getting a few more features from later on in the game, such as an updated auction house, as well as the retail transmog system. Those are the two we've heard about so far. Kata will also trend towards more difficult PvE content. It's a middle ground where you don't just want the bosses to fall over, but you also don't want to be progressing for 2 or 3 months. It will offer an environment where 10-player raiding guilds can exist and get the same levels of loot as 25. There will be more challenging 5-man content too, and the whole Titan Rune dungeon system will be in Kata as well. The LFD will also now be a core part of the game. There will be rated battlegrounds for PvP enjoyers. I keep hearing that Kata and Mists of Pandaria were good if you mainly played WoW for PvP, and I mean, there's got to be a few people out there who prefer the updated world post-shattering and the new quest lines and stories. But I do also believe that Cataclysm will be a bit of a stepping stone for Mists of Pandaria, sort of how people called TBC that for Wrath of the Lich King, because as memed on as
the mob quest was fun. I really enjoyed it. I revisited recently, like maybe 3 months ago, when I was doing the Iron Man challenge on retail. Mob quest is fun, dude.
In the day, it really does have a lot of strong positives.
Music's good too.
So what will people play Mr. Pandaria for? Monk, of course, brand new class. If you're a
Monk
monk
was
main,
so
do you want
busted.
to go back and see how that started off?
In cap, you see
If I
15-second
was, I would.
cooldown.
There's class
Fist of
tuning,
Fury
big
stun. Oh
reworks
my
compared
god.
to
So
Cataclysm.
strong.
The talent tree's revamped again, and now we have 1 talent point per 15 levels, which are often modified depending on your spec.
Oh, wait. We got this talent tree in mob?
Also, a lot of class abilities and passives are
I guess we
specific to
did.
choosing a talent tree now. For example, if you want Fireball, you have to be a
Yeah.
Fire Mage. There was definitely a lot less choice in how you built your class and spec in Mists of Pandaria, but Blizzard essentially knew exactly what options you had, and because of this, they put a ton of power
Follow
into
Derek.
every class.
Hi,
It was just
Jason
something about
Bourne,
Mists
the
of
5
Pandaria
months.
class design,
Son.
which felt as though everyone was overpowered, and it just kinda worked. Also, there was Vengeance tanking. This was probably the best expansion there has ever been to main a tank. So Vengeance ensured
Dude, outside of Vengeance, Second Wind was way too strong in mob.
when you take damage, you deal more damage.
Second Wind,
And it
you
was a
are
way for tanks to
immortal
keep
as a
up on
warrior.
DPS and of course threat generation. Now this mechanic existed in Cataclysm too, but in Kata it's pretty tame, and the maximum attack power was capped at 10% of your health. And you know what they did in
We
Mr.
needed it?
Pandaria?
Nah, I
They
don't know.
made
In
Vengeance a
PvP,
bit
it was
harder
too
to
strong.
stack, but they removed the cap and tanks went absolutely crazy on DPS. It was not uncommon for your tank to be top DPS on certain encounters. In fact, tanks would actively try to take more damage between their own cooldowns and externals to stack Vengeance as much as possible. Blizzard got rid of Vengeance and replaced it with Resolve in Warlords of Draenor. So Mists of Pandaria is the only expansion where tanks can realistically be your top damage dealer. I think that's pretty exciting. And then there's raiding, Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar especially. Mists of Pandaria had some great raids that I already know I'd definitely give a go again. I did quite a bit of Siege of Orgrimmar back in the day, but I didn't get the chance to see too much of Throne of Thunder, and people rate both of these raids very highly. There were challenge modes too. These were kind of the early adopter for Mythic Plus, but they were
challenge modes.
Challenge modes set your gear to a certain level, and depending how
holy shit, this guy's flying over.
Rewards, such as a really good looking transmog set. Again, there was PvP as mentioned earlier. I keep hearing good things about Mists of Pandaria PvP, so I thought I'd bring it up here. There's also a big push for collection.
This is before all the CC got huge nerf. There used to be a lot of CC in Control and people loved the CCing, but I could see why Blizzard cut it down, right? CC not being able to play the game as a healer. There's already a huge sink of no healer, and healer sitting CC all day long. I think it made them even more miserable, so they got rid of it. But I'm gonna be honest, I think every PvP expansion, there was ups and downs. That there was fun times, bad times. Every expansion, good and bad. I don't think there's any expansion where everything was terrible. That's just my opinion.
There are so many things to gather out in the world. There's battle pets.
Yeah, this is when they added a lot of
collectibles. Back in Mists of Pandaria, I came up with a strategy to use 2 pets and then level another on all the epic and legendary pet fights. And then
I even leveled 5 characters to max with the pet battle.
The ones I got to level 25
it was OP at some
afterwards. That was the main way I made gold back then. There was the Brawlers Guild, which had some challenging fights at the higher ranks, and when you didn't overgear them, those 2-minute enraged timers weren't easy. The time
Why did they remove Brawlers Guild? I loved Brawlers Guild.
Just loads of stuff to do, and it worked so well they kept doing it in future expansions. We had Tanan Jungle in Warlords of Draenor. I guess Broken Shore.
I forgot about this place.
For Legion,
collect bloods.
For BFA,
I farmed so much PvP there
too, but those are the things off the top of my head that came to mind for Mists of Pandaria. But we all know what happens after Mists of Pandaria, and this one will be the hardest stepping stone to get over in my opinion, and it's going to get memed on so hard if it's announced one way or the other. Warlords of Draenor Classic. Imagine that. Looking back now, it's honestly comical how little content this expansion had. It released on October 14th, 2014, and Tanan Jungle,
if they pace it fast, it might not be that bad.
Came out on the 23rd of June, 2015. There were
I wish the story was a little better though.
In total, and 3 raids. I mean, what's not to like
3
if there's
raids.
so little content?
Holy
For real though, I do
moly.
think people will say that this expansion wasn't so bad in a few years' time. And there are things to like, such as the speed of leveling through Warlords of Draenor. It was super fast to get characters to level cap because of just the XP given in zones and bonus objectives. Even years later when I was leveling a character...
Blizzard, at this point, Blizzard stopped caring about low level. They just wanted everyone to get to max level. And I don't know if that was the right approach. I think classic while leveling is too long, especially the 40 to like 50 range. But they made it too fast.
In an afternoon and be done with the expansion. And you can't say Warlords of Draenor didn't have some absolutely brilliant raids.
Oh,
was okay.
the Gladiator
favorite,
thing.
Blackrock Foundry and Hellfire Citadel were both very
You got a
well
title for that too.
Classes got big overhauls again in Warlords of Draenor. This is the expansion when the big pruning happened. Gear also swapped main stats if you respect too. Well, your armor did anyway. Also, multi-strike was a thing for this expansion. I have to say I didn't mind garrisons at first, to be honest, when you're actually doing stuff to complete the buildings, filling out your...
Yeah, I thought this was player housing. I was so excited to customize like where I put my stuff, but everything just had a placeholder.
Stables and so on, it was okay.
Missed
but
opportunity.
Like Warlords of Draenor, once you got over that initial bit of content, there really wasn't much else to do. And should Warlords
and that boat thing, do you guys remember when they were saying introducing new boat system? And I was like, holy shit, are we gonna be pirates like roaming around the seas on our boat? But it was just a mission board and we couldn't even ride the boat.
Draenor happened
That
again, it would
blowed
be a brief revisit
hard.
to alternate Outland. That final patch they had was well over a year in duration, and it did not have much content to start
I
with.
played so
there
much
just
WoW
really
on
isn't much to
WoD.
re-release. And in case you're thinking, no, I highly doubt Blizzard would try and put back in some of the cancelled content, such as the missing Nether Storm Zone for one, which was supposed to be named Farallon. And to be honest, I don't think it would be worth doing for them. It would kinda have to come with new content, including a raid. And is Warlords of Draenor Classic going to be the most popular version
Damn, I remember
of Classic?
watching
You
this.
can already guess the answer to that. But at the end of the day, what is something they'd probably kinda feel obliged to do to get to the next expansion? Legion. Legion, with changes to some of its known issues, could be a very fun re-release, you know. Things to address include...
Dude really loves to pan out so hard. The last video I watched, he was talking about level 60s and we haven't even got to 40 yet on SOD, and now he's talking about Legion. Dude, this is so far away.
Legendary drop rates and bad luck early game. Some people got their best.
Oh, I
some
remember
people
the
got
legendaries.
Cephas's secret. And Cephas was not good on launch. It got buffed later.
I got
in
my
the
first one in the
expansion, but
arena,
launch
killing
Cephas,
vanguards.
You did not want that.
It was insane.
The artifact weapons pretty much locked you into one spec due to the artifact power
Oh,
grind. Never
I
mind
loved
being
artifact.
friendly. Legion was respec unfriendly. That hasn't happened before in WoW. As Mythic Plus was a new piece of content, there was the
Oh, I
endless War
liked
of
this.
Souls, artifact power, and legendary chant spam.
This
Artifact
dungeon was
knowledge
cool.
as a catch-up was good, but it probably could have come a bit earlier.
I'll be
especially-
40 for Legion. Stoops D. Dude, that's when I first met Stoops and Legion. Fuck, man. Good old times. Yeah, hope you had a good Christmas,
a
Stoops.
re-release. And overall, if Blizzard did re-release Legion and they were just a bit more generous overall with artifact power and legendaries, it could be a lot of fun. Possibly even have...
Dude, do you guys remember Prestige? Holy shit. I did Prestige like 5 times. So you have to unlock all your PP talents. And then if you Prestige, you have to start over, but you get a new badge. And I was addicted to that and I was spamming that. But then Blizzard, for some reason, they're like, we're going to just give it to you for free. You don't have to do it anymore. And it just broke the system. And then there was Russian hackers just win trading Prestige. And they were already like 700 Prestige in like 1 month. It was insane. I think Legion, I had a really good time. Only time I didn't like was end of expansion. Maybe like the last two seasons, it felt like Blizzard wasn't doing any changes. And Warlocks were just one-shotting everyone with Chaos Bolt, and I was miserable. Because Red Paladins were like super bad against Warlocks. Hated it.
the resource to craft legendaries in from the first major content patch. Class
What's up,
Audicles were
Smoke?
a great and thematic addition to the game. I like them a lot, even if they did split the player base up to some extent. I mean, the
I don't care.
alternative
I
would
thought
have
it
been
was
just
awesome.
standing about in Dalaran, and we already kind of have done that in Wrath. Mythic Plus, of course, that was a new addition to the game, and it offered a different path for end game players.
Oh,
It was
I remember
repeatable
this,
content, infinitely scaling.
this dungeon was
suited
fun,
5-player
too.
Groups, just something different than raiding, really. Suramar has to be the best open-world hostile city Blizzard have ever made, and the story went on through there as we progressed in the expansion. We did big numbers.
Suramar
in
was really
Legion,
pretty.
like damage numbers got completely insane.
I found Savix and
You'd be
Legion?
doing millions of
Damn.
DPS.
That's when I made a lot of
Yeah, it was
content.
kind of dumb, but on the other hand, big number is kind of fun. The Mage Tower was a great single
I
player
loved
challenge.
Mage Tower.
It started off as
So
a big flex,
fun.
getting your hidden appearance early, and as the expansion went on, you could
So
overgear
fun.
them and get them a lot easier. Just overall an amazing bit of content to test yourself. A new class, can't forget about that one, Demon Hunter. We can see how they started off. There were also a lot of solid raids. The
Chat, people hate Demon Hunter. I thought they were badass. I think it's one of the most simple, well-designed classes, and every button felt fun to press. And their intro story was super fun. But since they were kind of new class and were blasting everyone, people hated them. But I thought it was fun. I didn't main one, but I had an alt, and I thought they were really fun.
Emerald Nightmare was undertuned, especially on Mythic mode. Trial of Valor was a bit
Oh,
unexpected.
dude, I
but
remember
posed a
doing that
greater
raid.
challenge. Nighthold was probably my favorite of Legion. Then afterwards we had the Tomb of Sogeras, which went back to overtuned again, before finally Antorus the Burning Throne. There were trinkets such as Whispers in the Dark, which gave you a crazy haste proc, Convergence of Fate would reset your class's cooldown super fast, Draft of Souls would just one-tap anyone in PvP with Battle Shout, all that good stuff. And it always felt as though there was something to do. There would be daily and weekly things to do, but we were kind of not as used to it yet, so it didn't feel as bad. All in all, Legion was a big turning point coming off the back of Warlords of Draenor, and Blizzard would try to carry on some of the trends which seemed to make it successful in the next 2 expansions. But they didn't turn out so well. I think going beyond Legion is going to be a hard sell, as beyond this, not only were the subsequent expansions less popular from a player point of view, but some of their core issues just kind of didn't go away. First was that...
Yeah, this guy's he's covering BFA too. Yo, how many are you going to cover? We're not even this far. We're just getting cat up, mister. Yo, this zone was cool though, right, chat? We could say BFA sucked, but this Borealis was pretty, man.
Feeling of losing all the power you just...
I thought the quest was good too. With what's his name? Willie? There was like a little pirate guy you quest with.
Your DPS went from millions.
The pirate guy was fun.
10k or so at the start.
1000%. You guys didn't like it? I thought it was really pretty.
Just numbers being smaller. Abilities were gone. Artifact weapons were gone. Legendaries were disabled. BFA was an expansion in name, but it felt as though we all went backwards. There was more reliance on daily, weekly, and even monthly tasks to boost player engagement. And if you fell behind, you stayed behind. Azerite armor had less interesting bonuses as whole when compared to legendaries and artifact weapons. Would essences feel better if they were instantly account-wide when they came out? And even later than that in BFA.
Dude, I hated these. I hated farming these. There was too many farm. I think players were complaining like there's not much to do, so they added a bunch of fucking systems. There was way too many systems. This is when it got out of hand, I think.
BOE proc to count for more
corruption, Azerite
together. It just doesn't seem
Nicholas,
as though these systems are redeemable.
Too many, right?
Release. And then comes along Shadowlands with its covenants, its meaningful choices, and Blizzard's reluctance to back down on their vision, and that didn't go so well either.
This man is covering up to this.
Shadowlands most certainly is not going to.
Yo, we're not gonna go into Shadowlands. Are you crazy out of your mind? Oh, he's covering up to Dragonflight. Yo, Willie, calm down, man. Holy shit.
Expansions, though, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. The thing is, even if we do get to a point where there is Legion Classic, there are so many more questions to be asked. What happens to all the other versions of WoW we would have gone through? Is this just a one-time thing? Because right now it seems as though there's only demand for vanilla to be replayed on a large scale. Will these servers reboot as progression servers where they go through expansions? Maybe players could vote for when an expansion drops. This is what EverQuest have done with their progression servers. What about the level capped characters in this environment? Where do they go? Do they transfer to retail? Is there some kind of prestige system? Do we just force them to restart? At the end of the day, WoW kind of needs content to keep moving forwards. This is generally how MMOs work. Apart from Classic Era, it seems, but again, that's a bit of a special case. Equally, if things did get as far as Legion, by that point in time the game has changed enormously. At the moment with Wrath, some people are going back to vanilla due to the changes. More will for Kata, and things will keep going in that direction as we progress. Then again, a sub is a sub for Blizzard, and if enough people are playing to make it worth making, then it's going to make financial sense. They have said their surveys for Cataclysm actually turned out some pretty positive results when it came to people asking to carry on forwards.
Damn, there's a 1 month? Dude, there's a 1 year sub now? Wait, wasn't 6 months the longest one before? When I was younger and I had enough like money to pay for myself, I did this all the time because WoW was my favorite game. I should change back to this. I think I'm at 15 right now.
To people asking to carry on forwards. We may not have seen those results ourselves, but then again, so many things have happened in
It's been there
just because
longer than a year. I don't remember seeing the year thing.
Season of Discovery is also now underway, and I expect it to be very important in the future of classic content in terms of what people do and do not like about this season. But if there's one thing that's been true for World of Warcraft for nearly 20 years now, it's that it just doesn't seem to go away. And I really don't expect Classic to either, in one way or another. Anyways, just thought that would be an interesting topic to cover today because Classic is seemingly set on a path to go a lot further than many people would have imagined. But how much further? That remains to be seen. What do you reckon though? How far will Classic go? How many expansions would you want to revisit? And what would your ideal future for the game be?
After I played Classic 2019 and TBC and a little bit of Wrath, I don't know if I want to repeat any of them. I know some people haven't got to play it, so they want to revisit. I think that's totally fine. If you enjoy it now, I think that's totally fine too. There are fun ways to play the game, of course. But for me, I don't know. And to answer the question, I feel like Blizzard might go all the way, chat. If they're going up to Kata, might as well finish it all, right? Or after Mob, they give us a choice. Like Chromie comes out and he's like, or she's like, sorry, we're gonna give the players the choice, and maybe players like vote on the next classic version. Maybe that might be the play. What do you think, chat? What do you think? Are they gonna release every single one of them, or you think Chromie's gonna come out and say we're gonna let you vote and give us like 3 options? I feel like it's gonna be a vote system. HOTS? You wanna play HOTS? I mean, HOTS was fun back then. Fuck, I played. Oh wait, this Sunday, chat, I might play Warcraft 3 with you guys. We'll do a little bit of WoW stream and end it with some Warcraft 3 custom maps. We'll play together. HOTS is still fun. Yeah, dude. Oh, you know what's crazy? I talked about this in comics. Every fucking person enjoyed HOTS. How did it die? Is it because they invested too much money on Heroes of the Dorm? I know they were trying to make it popular amongst the kids, and they were saying, if you win the tournament, free college tuition, blah, blah, blah. And they spent too much money on esports, or what happened? But I had no idea Heroes of the Dorm is. Heroes of the Dorm was huge in, or they were pushing it big in NA. HOTS is fun, it just died. Blizzard, they messed up the monetization in HOTS. Blizzard audience is mostly EU. Too many free skins and champs. He purposely saying Dorm. No, Heroes of the Dorm. It was a thing. Here, I'll show you. Heroes of the Dorm. Look. Heroes of the Dorm 2018 is a college heroes tournament organized by Tespa and Blizzard. It was big back in the day. Yeah. Anyways, check out the next.